Joyce is right about history being a nightmare, but it may be the nightmare from which no one can awaken. People are trapped in history, and history is trapped in them. James Baldwin. We are all prisoners of our own experiences. Edward R. Murrow. I did a video talking about my Christian upbringing. I got a few requests to talk about why I left Christianity. It started with the death of a friend's relative. In her mind, the man delivering the eulogy was trying to sell the grieving family Christianity. It's the whole, do you know where you'll spend eternity after you die argument that is present in many evangelical Christian churches. She wasn't a Christian. In fact, she held a great deal of antipathy towards it. In her mind, Christianity was a tool of white supremacy used to shackle the minds of the black man and woman. Her outbursts and indignation would lead us to various discussions regarding religion and spirituality. I found myself having to defend my Christianity and at the same time questioning it. So right around this time, I was about 19 years old. This would have been around the fall of 1999. At the time, I was taking classes at St. Louis Community College at Forest Park. And one day, I was at home. I didn't have any class that day. And I think I wasn't working that day either. And I had an encounter with two Mormon missionaries, which would lead me to eventually being baptized as a Latter-day Saint in February of the year 2000. About this time, I became obsessed with the Bible. Again, only after a few months with the Mormons. I stopped going with that particular group. Let me get out right here. Hold on. I became obsessed with the Bible again and started just reading the Bible again. Now, after a few months with the Mormons, I just stopped going and just started attending another non-LDS church, as there were certain doctrinal things that I couldn't wrap my head around. And that they all at first seemed okay, but then as I got deeper into my studies, they weren't as okay as I thought. So I just stopped going. I would then rededicate my life to Jesus Christ because, the Mormon church wasn't where it was at. And I began to read the Bible, both Old and New Testament. Now, in the year 2000, my high school sweetheart broke up with me. I was devastated. We had been together for 2 years, and then that 2 years was just gone. And right about this time, it would be 2000, so I was going through a period of unemployment too. And with the unemployment and the departure of my lady love, I had a whole lot of time on my hands. Now, I was still taking classes at St. Louis Community College, and by the end of the year 2000, I was once again talking with the friend that I had, and she started telling me about this name called Fahami. Or she kind of told me that back in 1999, but she would talk about it again in the year 2000. And Fahami was sort of this religion that it was created by a man named Paul Nathaniel Johnson. He was an Ahmadiyyan Muslim, and he would later claim to be the prophet of Amun-Ra. So I got involved with that movement, and I got a name. I got a name from that movement. So my current name is not the name that my mama gave me. Now, right around this time too, being in Fahami had me going to the library a lot. I even started going to this local bookstore in the Del Mar Loop, which is in U City. It was called Sunstar Divine and Family. And then Legacy Books and Cafe was another place I used to go to. And maybe around later 2001, that's when I started going down to Legacy and listening to all the spoken word people. I even would go to the Borders bookstore in Barnes & Noble and check out their religion section and their spirituality and New Age section. So at this point, I'm 21. Now, I remember just that whole time of learning about Afrocentrism. And in that time, I was trying to find people that would accept me as being among the conscious. So I let my hair grow out. I would have it get twisted up, or I'd have it braided into cornrows. And I began just looking at different religions. I started reading conspiracy theory articles and books. I started reading about yoga. I even bought a yoga DVD and would work out and do yoga poses. I started dabbling in meditation. And I even, for a while, was taking Taekwondo lessons. So around that time, it was just me, a lot of seeking and exploration. Now, I would accept Sunni Islam in 2007. It was Easter weekend. I was 26 and my 27th birthday was a few months away. Now, for some reason, though I owned a Quran, I wanted to find another translation of the Quran. I don't know why. I could not tell you, but I had to find something on the Quran. And I remember going to this Islamic website. They said they'll send you a free Quran and some information. So I took it, and the organization sent me a free Quran. And they called me up, so I gave them a contact number. They called me up. We talked for a while, and then after we talked, by the end of the second telephone conversation, I recited the Shahada and became a Muslim. Afterwards, I would find a sorry, I'm listening for the bus, but I would find a mosque to attend, a masjid to attend. And I started attending the masjid in St. Louis City called the West Pine Masjid, aka Masjid Bilal. So I started like praying there for the Jummah prayers, and I started just learning how to make the Salat in Arabic, and I had to sort of undo a lot of the things I had come from Fahami with. Now, what made me leave was there was always questions in the back of my mind. Now, I didn't leave Islam, but I left Fahami alone because there were a lot of confusion and questions and turmoil, where Islam made sense to me because some of the things that I had learned in Fahami coincided with what was being taught in Islam. So there were things that the man presented to me that I already agreed with and believed in. So it wasn't that big of a leap for me to accept Islam, but I had to cast off the Fahami part. I had to stop wearing ankhs and stop trying to say prayers to Amun Ra. So I sort of backed away from those things. And then of course, to this day, that's sort of my journey. To this day, I have been in Islam. I have not been perfect at it. And I've had some slip-ups in my life. And I have had, just like anybody else, walking any religious or spiritual path. But I can tell you this, it was a long journey. It was a very long journey. And I remember seeking and trying to seek and trying to seek and try to find out what's going on in my life. And the reality is, I didn't find Christianity. I didn't have to seek for Christianity. It was given to me already. It was spoon-fed to me from the time I was a little boy through my adolescent years. So I had to test things out. And in my mind, Christianity did not ring true. Well, that's my 2 cents. Have a beautiful night in peace.